When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
Big news. Sephora is now on Uber Eats. So if you find yourself facing a beauty emergency, like needing a last-minute gift, or you're just out of your favorite mascara, again, don't panic. We got you. Order now and get $10 off on Sephora orders of $50 or more on the Uber Eats app. Order now. Offer ends October 30th. One order per customer. Additional terms apply. See app for availability. Delivery fees may apply.
Who is it? It's me, Vern. I know you're in there listening to the Gen X Grown Up podcast. Who? The Gen X Grown Up podcast, man. If you're going to listen, you should support them on Patreon. Do what? GenXGrownUp.com/Patreon. Show some support, man. They ain't here. I know they're not there, but you're listening to them. Come on, let me in. I want to be a fourth listener, too.
Gen X Grown Up is a YouTube channel, website, and audio podcast you're listening to right now. All made for and by people who love exploring media, games, tech, and toys of yesterday and today through the eyes of Gen Xers who refuse to grow up. Your dinner cannot just be french fries. Basically, life sucks as a grown up. Welcome back, Gen X Grown Up podcast listeners, to this backtrack edition of the Gen X Grown Up podcast. I am John. Joining me, as always, of course, my buddy Mo. Hey, man.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. It would not be a show without George. Hey, George.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
In this episode, we're celebrating a true milestone in gaming history, the 40th anniversary of Super Mario Brothers. The '85 classic didn't just put Nintendo on the map, it redefined what video games could be, inspiring generations of players. We'll discuss its legacy, explore how it became a cultural icon, and look at why Mario's first big adventure still holds up all these years later. I was thinking 40 years. Like, I was okay when we did the 40th anniversary of things that happened in 75 and 80 and kind of 81. This is 1985, 40 years ago now, and it makes me just feel, God, how old Mo must feel, knowing even 85 is now 40 years ago.
Oh, I don't. Okay, I mean, I'm not going to say that we're having our 40th high school reunion this year.
Let's not say that
part. I won't talk about that.
Wow.
But yeah.
Oh man, it really snuck up on me, because when we were prepping for this episode, I'm like, oh, it's the 40th anniversary. That must have been what, 81, 82? No, it was 85. What?
Yeah.
85. Yeah. I'm like, yeah. So it's a truly milestone game. As I said just a minute ago, there's so much interesting stuff to learn and talk about. And it's crazy that it is still today, people play for the first time and enjoy it. We're going to get into all of that in the body of this show. First, though, it is time for some fourth listener email. Anybody that takes time to write in, you are our fourth listener, assuming the three of us do listen, George. But if you don't, that's okay. I have a couple of quick emails. The first is from Diana D, and she wrote in with the subject line, Summertime Podcast. And she says, love the podcast.
Good start.
Yeah, right. Perfect start. Summer in the 70s, pure bliss. I was the youngest of two older brothers. I was talking to the middle sibling and I say, I don't remember us ever having jarts. Oh, we didn't. Mom and Dad knew the oldest would use us as target practice. So just preemptive parenting there. Probably some wise choices. And then I think, George, you mentioned Panama City as part of the summertime stuff. Panama City Beach in the 70s was the shit, Diana says. The treasure ship, Captain Anderson's getting an
Captain
airbrush shirt at the Surf Hut. Yeah, you remember that?
Yeah,
George is nodding away.
Every single bit of that. Absolutely.
Yep. Thanks for a great podcast, Diana. Thank you, Diana. And one more quick one, and I had to grab this one because of the subject from Dustin F. He said, George and RoboCop.
Wait,
Okay?
whoa.
Okay.
Hold on.
Yes.
I'm reading what you put in here. You don't need to put 2 fucking emails at the beginning of the podcast. You just did this shit just to mess with me.
Hold on. I'm checking the... Yes, it says here I did it to mess with you. Those were my notes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Okay. Justin says, hey, bros, I have a chance to point out a time when George was wrong, so who could pass that up?
I mean, we could right now.
We definitely could. We could skip ahead, but I'm not going to. Well, let's take a vote, actually.
All right. Yeah, vote's fair.
So, Mo, would you like to skip ahead?
No.
No, okay. I'm not going to skip ahead. So, sorry, George. So.
Didn't think senior citizens could vote, but all right, let's go.
For now, we're going to let Mo's vote stand, and we'll check that out. It says, in the debate episode about movie remakes, George was adamant that Peter Weller was only in the first RoboCop movie. That's not correct. He was in RoboCop 2 as well. And I'll step in front of the bullet. I don't remember correcting you either. I didn't realize that was the case.
I'm sure.
Was he in RoboCop 2?
I mean, he was in RoboCop 2. I went back and looked at it afterwards because this is not the only email to point it out, but truthfully, I don't think he wanted to be in RoboCop 2, so I'm sticking with my debate point.
You know, Mr. Weller might be happy that you said he wasn't in it. He might be changing the tides. Yeah. Anyway, Dustin says, thanks for all the great content and also the good times on Discord. Fourth listener, DF. So, well, I'll tell you, all three of us thank you, Diana, for your email, and Mo and I thank you, Dustin, for your email, though George will abstain, I expect. And we love it anytime the fourth listener drops us a line. If you'd like your email featured here on the show, it's drop dead easy. Just hit us up at podcast@GenXGrownUp.com. We'll read every single one, and most of them, just like Dustin's and Diana's, will eventually make the show. All right, let's jump into the body of this backtrack all about Super Mario Brothers after this very quick break.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
You're listening to Gen X Grown Up. But if you have a friend who's not yet listening, why not? Tell them about us. They'll thank you later.
The Mario Brothers are back in the all-new legacy action game Super Mario Brothers for Nintendo Entertainment System. Travel across land, sea, and sky in a never-ending, action-packed adventure that will leave you glued to your seat. Can you topple the terrible Koopa King and save the princess? Pick up a copy of Super Mario Brothers for Nintendo Entertainment System at your local toy store today and take on the challenge. Now you're playing with power.
Super Mario Brothers came out in 1985, and I don't know that we need to explain what the game is because it's probably one of the most recognizable games and characters and worlds that's ever existed. But in a backtrack where we're talking all about this game, you really kind of want to peel back the layers of the onion and start where the origin of it, where it began, how we got there. And as we're prepping for this, I tasked Mo with, can you dig in and find some of the background and research on the origin of not just Mario, but Super Mario Brothers, this game. Yeah. And he found a lot of cool stuff. You want to get us started on just some of this background?
Yeah. And we're only going to touch the surface. There was so much on there that I could have added, but I was like, it's an hour podcast. I want to keep it short. But I mean, to start with, Super Mario Brothers, it was designed by Shigeru Miyamoto and Takashi Tezuka. And they were part of Nintendo. They're part of the creative department. Nagato did most of the actual development on it. But again, it was very much like a team effort, especially when it came to things like the sound, design. It was a collaborative effort. But like I think Nagato was definitely the driving force.
Mm-hmm. Now, Super Mario Brothers, though, it didn't just come from out of nowhere. It was kind of a sequel in the Mario Brothers original franchise, which itself was probably based on John's favorite game, Donkey Kong. But the original Mario Brothers was released in 1983 as an arcade platformer. Takes place on a single screen. It's got that iconic black background with kind of the neon colors and whatnot, if you guys remember. Miyamoto used the term athletic games to refer to what would later be known as platform games. So I guess maybe Mario Brothers might have been one of the early examples of platform gamers.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, for Super Mario Brothers, he wanted to create a more colorful, athletic game with a scrolling screen and larger characters, which it's real fun how in that Super Mario Brothers game, he starts off small, but he doesn't stay small.
Yeah. No, that's right. Give me that mushroom. Now, Miyamoto, he's no newcomer to games. I mean, Donkey Kong, hello, you were just talking about, right? So they're working on other games for the NES, was just about to come out, or I guess it was Famicom in Japan, I guess, and eventually came over here as the NES. While working on Excitebike, how do you say it? Excitebike or Excitebike, the one with the jumping bike, and Kung Fu, great Nintendo game.
Oh, that was a fun one.
He came up with the concept of the platformer that would have a character strategically scrolling sideways. So working your way across the screen. Not only, like you said, George, is this an early example of a platformer in general, but Super Mario Brothers was the first scrolling platformer, meaning you're not just what you see on the screen, but more is coming and you have more jumping and athletic work to do. You could jump long distances, above ground, underground, and have colorful levels rather than just that black background that you were talking about.
Yeah, and the scrolling that you're talking about there, John, it just dawns on me that the scrolling part of it is key to that statement, because I remember games before Super Mario Brothers where you would, platform, jump around and whatnot. And then when you get to the edge of the screen, it would just redraw the next screen.
Right.
It wouldn't just scroll smoothly. So that's a very cool thing. Development for Super Mario Brothers, it began in the fall of '84, same time as they were developing Legend of Zelda.
Man, they just could not hit home runs, right?
I know, right? That's another one directed and designed by Miyamoto. I mean, this guy, you could say that he probably built the foundation that makes the house of Nintendo keep running to this day.
100%. I'd agree with that.
For sure.
Yeah.
And, one of the other things that made this game so different was that they actually spent a lot of time on the soundtrack, which was something that really was not, basically because of limitations on the equipment, but they found ways around that. And they had a composer, Koji Kondo, and he created this really dynamic and exciting soundtrack that really almost made you want to keep playing the game, right? It kind of pulled you through.
Oh, yeah, and you say a soundtrack, and you're not kidding. A lot of people will say, what's the soundtrack of this game? Beep, 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 beep. And that's just a song. Super Mario Brothers had a soundtrack, a dozen or so themes that would change based on what you did, where you were. If you're underground, there was a different one. The swimming song was different. Yes, exactly. Yeah, if I'm worth half a damn editing, I'll have a little music playing in the background during this part of our discussion. But it is like, I went looking and you can go and find the full soundtrack, including and alternate themes. Like when you're running out of time, there's a hurry up version of a lot of the songs that pulls you through the game and adds to that. What did you say, Mo? It makes you want to keep playing.
Yeah, it makes you want to keep going, right?
It also informs you that you're winding up, not just like a doo-doo, doo-doo, doo-doo. Usually it'd be a beep to tell you're running out of time. They actually change the tempo and the timbre of the soundtrack to make it do it. I don't think I can overestimate how cool the soundtrack was on this.
Absolutely.
The fact that it had a full soundtrack. And then the introduction of not just things like scrolling sideways and jumping, things we take for granted now. Power-ups.
Yeah.
Super mushroom that makes you bigger, you were talking about, George. The fire flower that makes you, like, you have a weapon.
Yeah.
You can shoot stuff down. What else do we have? The star that would make you
invulnerable, right?
Invincible for a while.
Super, right?
I guess you could fall maybe off the end of the bottom of the world, but you couldn't get hurt by anybody, right? You could. Oh, and a whole other song for that if you had the star power that you were playing in there. It's stuff we take for granted now that was all invented in this one game 40 years ago.
It's unique. We were talking about just now that super mushroom making you larger. The team based the level design around small Mario. So everything is proportionate to that, intending to make his size bigger in the final version, but they decided it would be too fun to let Mario change his size via the power. So it's just interesting how when they're developing that kind of thing, like little decisions mean big rewards at the end for the player.
Yeah, for sure. And, one of the things that just always impresses me, and this is, I guess, me being an older guy, is just the limitations these guys had to work with to create this game. And granted, they had the same limitations everybody else did who was creating games at the same time, for Nintendo. But they had, I think, about 250K of cartridge space and like 32K of actually programming space. And they only had like 64K of for graphics.
Right.
Wow.
And that, I mean, to me, that's just incredible. And I was doing some reading, and they did a lot of really just super clever things. Like there are places where it's actually the same image, like, but maybe upside down in a different color, or that you don't see that. You just see it as a different character, different graphics.
Yeah. You know, when you talk about size limitations like this, I know, Mo, you and I have had this discussion dozens of times, maybe a couple of times on air, but sometimes it's those restrictions that lead to some of the coolest innovation in game mechanics. But also reminds me just how impressive it is that we look back. Now, this is a generation ahead of the Atari 2600 and the television and stuff like that. And those games, we're talking like 4K.
Yeah.
You know? How much smaller it was. And to think that you look at, you're like, well, what a leap it was to the NES. Well, of course it was such a leap. Look at the greater capacity, but still, though it's dozens of times greater than we had on the Atari, it's still a minuscule amount of data to create an immersive world like they did here. It's incredible.
I will say that I feel like what they did with the Nintendo specifically was larger than the leap in numbers. Like, what was it? 8-bit to 16-bit or whatever.
Yeah.
Double the capacity. I think they more than doubled the game. Yeah. The entertainment value of stuff on Nintendo and Super Nintendo later, which I know is another generation up. I feel like they did so much more than just double the amount.
Sure. Right.
I'm not throwing shade at my Atari 2600 because I love my Atari 2600, but I'm not going to compare a little square in Adventure to Super Mario in Super Mario Brothers.
They added more than just bits. They added play value that was incredible.
Yeah, for sure. And I was looking at an interview that they gave about the creation of the game, and they said they felt almost like they were given like, oh my God, we have all this memory to play with, in a way. Of course, they said they quickly used it all and then had to find ways to make it efficient. But compared, like George said, compared to what they had before this, it was like, oh, wow, we have all this extra space to do things, And I think their ambitions are probably bigger than what they wanted and they could do, but then they scaled it back.
Is. Yeah.
But, hey, they got it done.
Well, it's kind of like when John and I had our Amigas and we just had floppy disks at first, and then we got 40 megabyte hard drives and we lost our shit. We'll never fill these up.
Is it possible?
Actually, we did pretty damn quick.
Yep. Now, the game debuted, Super Mario Brothers was what we're talking about here, not Mario Brothers, but it debuted in Japan on September 13th, 1985 for the Famicom, which was the NES, of course, in North America, which later rolled out globally. And we're going to get into some of the stats in a later segment of the podcast, but trust me, they're eye-watering. These are some big goddamn numbers. Mo and John were both talking about the stuff that I found before we started recording, talking about just how crazy those numbers look. Even in today's mindset, like when you're talking about video games and being sold today, these numbers are competitive.
Yeah. And I was saying, like, I knew it was huge and maybe the best. I didn't know it was that much far and above so much other stuff. Yeah. So as we move into more of reminiscing and looking back on Super Mario Brothers and what made it so amazing, I want to do a quick roundtable because we all typically have different entry points and familiarity with the game. So I want to go around real quick, the three of us. What are your first memories of your discovery of Super Mario Brothers, and what do you think of when you look back on it now? Let's start with you, George.
I don't have much memory of playing with an NES or a Super Mario game because that came out in 85, like we just said. And at that point, I was just starting high school and I was way more into the athletic side of my life than I was into the computer gaming side of my life. I still had my Commodore 64 and my Atari 2600, but I did not have a Nintendo Entertainment System. It just wasn't anything my parents were going to buy because you already have a gaming system, son. You don't need another one, right? And I don't know that I remember wanting it, but I think probably 6 years or so later, like right around the time, John, you and I met in the club in the Star Trek Club. I think that's when I was doing the Blockbuster rental kind of stuff because I do have some memories of renting Nintendo consoles from them and playing games like Super Mario Brothers. I think I probably played it then, but truthfully, I didn't really pick it back up until emulation got really popular in the last 10 or 15 years. And I still suck at it. To this day, I can't, like, if I get through World 1-3, I'm happy.
So for me, I want to say So I was a sophomore or junior, 85 in high school. So you were just starting high school. That makes sense. Mo was in graduate school. We know he's much older.
Right.
So I was 85. And, I was into computers. I had my Atari 8-bit computer and I wasn't paying attention to video games. I was playing tons of them on my computer, but those were computer games. That was big kid stuff.
Right.
I had sold my 2600, lamenting that still, but to buy the computer, and I loved that. I always thought of the NES because of the first exposure to it. It was my girlfriend's little brother's game.
Oh, right.
And he knew I liked computers and crap. And so when I was over visiting their family, I'd be like, I want to see your video. Show me your thing, and I saw the Zelda with the shiny gold cartridge, and I saw his Super Mario and the gun where you shoot the duck hunt and everything.
Right.
But he's like, man, this is the one that I can't stop playing, this Mario one. And I didn't get it right away. In fact, I didn't initially get that it was supposed to be the same Mario from the Donkey Kong franchise.
Oh, really?
Because I didn't see Donkey Kong. And in our era, every little running man looks the same. And so it didn't surprise me that he looked like Mario did necessarily. I quickly made the connection. But I never had an NES until years and years later. I first had a Super Nintendo to play Street Fighter. But when I do play it, and like you, I'm not great at it, George, and I do enjoy playing it. But I can appreciate when I look back how old it is, just how polished and smooth. And we're going to talk a lot about why it's so damn popular. But I was impressed and a little bit jealous that my girlfriend's little brother had this game. And I'm like, I wish I'd had that game on my Atari. Would have been really cool. So, What about you, Mo? What do you remember?
Yeah, I kind of like you guys because I was in college starting college when this game came out. So
right.
I was not focused on console games.
What course were you teaching?
Damn, that was
how to spot assholes. Anyway,
a bonus for George. That was a really insightful one. Thank you.
That was quick. I give him credit for that one. But anyway, so it really wasn't until the following summer when I was home visiting a friend, and he had an NES and I started playing, and I remember starting to play it, thinking I need to stop because this game is just way too addictive. Like, because hey, let's just go out, and I'm like, I'd rather just stay here and keep playing this, to be honest. And then sort of left it alone for a while. But then after college and stuff, even a few years later, I was surprised how most games have a shelf life, right? Like when they first come out, they're super good, and then after a few years, even a few years later, I was like, this is still an amazing game. Still really playable.
Yeah. So many reasons for that. So we're kind of a similar entry point into Mario. Like we weren't the first guard playing it. We picked it up as other people did, and we're like, I'll be damned. It looks like that crash is over. It looks like we're getting better.
I mean, we couldn't not hear about it though. That's for sure, because it was everywhere. Everyone was talking about it.
Yep, it was on the news. Oh, people addicted to Nintendo, and that was why. All right, we have so much more to cover in this Super Mario Brothers backtrack. Stick around. We'll be right back.
This episode is brought to you by Nature's Bounty. Nature's Bounty believes your body is brilliant, naturally designed to thrive, inside and out. For those always looking for new ways to support your health from head to heels, Nature's Bounty has a range of over 400 vitamins and supplements born from 50 years of trust and care. Nature's Bounty. It's in your nature. Visit naturesbounty.com to learn more.
Hey, the vibes are slipping. I think it's time to bring out the Velveeta shells and cheese. The holidays are a time to go all in on indulgence. Headline your meals with the rich, creamy meltiness of Velveeta shells and cheese and satisfy your holiday cravings like no other. Bring that main course energy to your side dish. Celebrate extra with Velveeta these holidays.
Be sure to subscribe to or follow GenXGrownUp wherever you listen. And while you're there, rate and review the show too. It helps more than you know.
Something's coming up the plumbing, poor Luigi's in a bind. Giant turtles out to get him, creepy crabs are right behind. Fighter flies, jeepers yikes, they're all coming out the pipes.
Mario, where are you?
It's Atari Mario Brothers with Mario from Donkey Kong, his brother Luigi, and lots of crazy creatures. And it's twice the fun when two play at once, because you need all the help you can get.
Mario, where are you?
Mario Brothers, new from Atari.
as you get into looking at just why or how or in what manner Super Mario Brothers is so beloved and so famous, we started looking at some of like the vital statistics around Super Mario Brothers. And that's where George liked to dig into his spreadsheets and look at the numbers and stuff. So George, you want to share some of the stuff that you found?
Yeah, so I found a fandom.com wiki on the entire franchise, not just one thing, but fortunately it broke everything up nicely into different, what you might call segments of the Mario universe, right? So the whole Mario video game franchise has sold more than 950 million units worldwide.
Jesus.
Now, that's
almost
across all the different Mario, Super Mario, Mario in space, all that stuff. It's just 950 million units, crazy. The main Super Mario series alone has sold more than 465 million copies worldwide of that 950 million number. So you can see Super Mario is by far the largest portion of the Mario franchise. Now, let's break it down just a little bit. So Super Mario Brothers itself, the platform on NES, it sold 40 million units, 40,240,000 roughly, for a total of $1.6 billion.
Jeez Louise.
Now, you do the math on that, that equals out to a little over $40 a cartridge. Now, I'm curious because there's no way, I couldn't find it in my stats, whether or not that includes perceived value for the pack-in Super Mario Brothers, because remember, it was packed in with a lot of Nintendo console sales. So I don't know if they include that in the number or if this is just literally they sold those many units outside of the pack-in.
I mean, that number just blows me away because there are blockbuster movies.
Right?
That don't hit those numbers.
I'm going to get into the movies.
Oh, really? Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Now, John, one of your favorite platforms of all time, the Game & Watch, that was released in 1986. That sold 1.2 million units for a total sale of $49 million. Just the little Game & Watch.
The little handheld.
And those things weren't terribly expensive. What were they, like $10 a piece or something like that? $9, $20, whatever they were.
Yeah,
that was in 1986. And that's just Super Mario Brother. If you then go look at some of their other parts of the system, so like we said, the entire video game franchise, over 950 million units, sold for over $50 billion. By the way, is it no wonder that Nintendo's not one of the largest gaming companies of all time?
Yeah.
But then other media, just for Super Mario Brothers, feature films, 180 million, I guess, tickets, right, would be sold for, what is this, $2.2 billion in lifetime sales. Now, a large portion of that's probably the latest film that came out a year or two ago.
Yeah.
But they started back in 1986. Licensed merchandise has sold 6 billion. And that's not including all the, like, the reissues and the modern, all the little, like, collaboration things, like there's a Super Mario set with Hot Wheels for the Mario Kart. All this stuff,
right? All the licensing,
all part of this franchise,
right? Yep. Crazy.
Strategy guides alone, 1.3 million strategy guides for Super Mario Brothers. They've even got stats in here on YouTube for Mario. I don't know whose stats they're using for the YouTube because they ain't using ours, but $400 million worth of YouTube, it said in the stats. I'm like, it's just nuts. All these different numbers. To me, all it's saying is, if it weren't for that little Jumpman character coming out of Donkey Kong and those two guys that Mo mentioned at the very beginning developing this Super Mario Brothers game, you know, the video game industry could look very different today if it's even there.
Yeah.
Oh, without a doubt. Right. So I just kind of alluded a second ago. You look at the picture in North America. Now, in Japan, video games are still doing okay, but we had this crash caused by
big time.
Crazy, just oversaturation of games and systems from publishers. And so, and so we had that crash here in North America that brought the industry here to its knees. Atari had been the fastest growing company in the history of the United States. And the gaming industry it created dropped, what do we say in that backtrack? Like 96% of its value was lost in about 6 months.
Yeah.
96%, almost nothing. And it could have stayed dead. News outlets were saying it was a fad. Yeah, it was the hula hoop. We're done with it. But then the NES with thanks in no small part to the Pac-Man game Super Mario Brothers, basically resurrected and spawned a phase 2 of a gaming industry that otherwise would not exist, maybe in North America, or you said, George, maybe not at all if it had petered out in Japan. But damn, that little guy, little Jumpman, little red, blue. He was initially known, I said, as just Jumpman in Donkey Kong. He didn't get a name until Donkey Kong Jr., because you remember in Donkey Kong Jr., go to Mario's hideout.
Oh, really?
That's one of the levels. They even say, save Papa from Mario. Otherwise, he was just Jumpman. Mario got his name. It was at the Nintendo of America office, and they were debating. We wanted a better name for him than just Jumpman. What are we going to call him? And during a meeting, the landlord interrupted the meeting, and the landlord's name, his first name was Mario. And they went, hey, maybe we just go with Mario. And so
it was a little
legend
dig.
was born.
Yeah.
Right. It was he's this little plumber, because over time he's been a carpenter, a plumber, a doctor, all these things. But back then in Mario, he was just a carpenter. It's like, he's just a guy interrupting our business meeting. He's just a guy with a wrench and a hammer. We'll call him Mario. Another thing that I had heard this in the past, but when I was digging and looking for history, there was a Q-Score survey. Q-Score was kind of like, it was a big clearinghouse for polls and stuff. They did a survey in the early 90s that revealed that Mario was a more recognizable character to American children than Mickey Mouse. Yeah. And they went through things like a Ronald McDonald, Mickey Mouse, all these different characters. And Mario was above Disney's icon that people have been following forever.
Jeez. And, this was the first game that actually was set in Mushroom World. I guess that's what he called it. That's Miyamoto's. That's like the first fantasy kingdom that he kind of designed in his head. And obviously this spawn kept growing and growing. Even to this day, it's still around.
It allowed him to do anything, right? Yeah. He made this fantasy world that he keeps expanding on and go, oh, how about a mushroom that makes you grow double size? Sure. You just make stuff up. It doesn't have to follow the real world, which I think is it's kind of like a cheat and also like a genius cheat. It's like, since we can't do it exactly like the real world, we'll just fake it and call it a fantasy, this mushroom world that has its own rules to follow. And it worked out.
It's one of those things that, you look back at it now and you're like, oh, of course that makes sense. But when I think about it, Mushroom World, what's kid-friendly about mushroom worlds,
silly,
right? Like mushrooms are fungus. There's nothing appealing
LSD.
about them visually,
right?
I mean,
psychedelics.
They're just associated with all these things. But I mean, for kids, why would kids are looking at like candy canes and lollipops and stuff like. So John from Wreck-It Ralph, right?
Yep,
that was Candyland. That wasn't Mushroom Land that they went to.
Exactly.
And that makes sense. But now you look back and you're like, well, yeah, Toad is cute as hell. And he's got his little head with the hat looking mushroom cap on top. And it's just amazing how pervasive and how widespread the whole design mechanic is that started really with Super Mario. I'm not even going to say it started with Mario because Mario Brothers, like we said, black screen, neon colors, the little squishy PAL button that you would hit your head into.
Right.
That did not bring the franchise forward. Super Mario Brothers absolutely established the world to Mo's point.
It did. Yeah. That it was that world. Yeah. We talked about, even Mario Brothers, you talked about the arcade game, right? That's when he was a plumber and he was bouncing around, hitting his head against stuff. It helped to build the idea of some of the mechanics, like how long you hold a button is how high you jump and the physics of, moving and sliding and that sort of thing. But we mentioned a little bit earlier that Super Mario Brothers introduced the side-scrolling platform game. Platform games in and of themselves had been around for a while, even going back to the Atari days. We had Donkey Kong. Hell, we had things where you could run around on there, or on my computer, I played Jumpman, stuff like that. Platforms were fine, but they didn't scroll.
Mission, right?
Right. Yes, of course.
They changed screens. They didn't scroll. Like you go
to
the
of course.
screen. Yeah.
And the difference that creates is when you go screen to screen, what do you talk about? Well, I'm on the blue level. I'm on the red level. This is a world.
John, one of your favorite games of all time didn't scroll. Pitfall.
That's right. Just jump from screen to screen.
Right. On the Vine level.
Right. Now, Pitfall 2 added a little scrolling. Right? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. But in reaction to, right?
One thing I always wondered though is like they never actually explain what Mario is doing, like how he got there, right? He's just there, right? Essentially.
Well, he's got to save the princess. That's it.
But he's a plumber. How the hell do you get there?
Well, that's the thing though. I think back then you didn't need all the exposition.
Yeah.
As long as the gameplay and the mechanics were fun.
Sure.
It was also a leap in graphic technology, right, Mo?
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said before, like they did so many cost savings, or say memory savings things in the game. Like the music was actually run, I think, on the CPU. They were able to figure that out, so it saved more programming space.
Oh, okay.
And the other thing is, like I said, like if you look at the clouds and the bushes, they're the exact same sprite. They're just different colors.
The color map changed. Yeah. I remember seeing a video on that, and I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
They're like, cheating. And I launched it. I'm like, I'll be damned.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I said, just I had to pull up a screen. I'm like, let me look at this. I'm like, well, shoot, that's clever.
Okay, we've touched on some of the things that make it so notable, but why was it so popular? Why was it so successful? That's what we're going to try to figure out right after this break. Stick around.
Hey, this is Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast, here to help you make the most of your summer with Michelob Ultra, a superior light beer worth playing for. Play for it with the guys when you're competing to see who can sink more birdies on the golf course, because winning tastes even better with Ultra on the line. Play for Ultra. Fill your fridge with Michelob Ultra this summer. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2025 Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
As a contractor, I don't pay for materials I don't use. So why would I pay for stuff I don't need in my mobile plan? That's why the new MyBiz plan from Verizon Business is so perfect. Now I can choose exactly what I want, and I only pay for what I need.
Right now, with MyBiz plan, get our best price, as low as $25 a line. Visit Verizon.com/business to get started today. New lines only. Price per month with 5+ lines. Includes auto pay and paper-free billing and promotional discount. Taxes, fees, economic adjustment charge. Applicable add-ons, prices, and terms apply. Guarantee applies to base monthly rate and stated discounts only. Add-on prices additional. Offers end September 30th, 2025.
Each episode of Gen X Grown Up has show notes loaded with links where you can learn more about our topics. And there's even more to see and hear over at GenXGrownUp.com.
Hey, paisanos, it's the Super Mario Brothers Super Show!
With the Mario Brothers and plumbing's a game. We're not like the others who get all the fame. If your sink is in trouble, you can call us on the double. We're faster than the others, you'll be hooked on the brothers. A treat, so hang on to your seat. Get ready for adventure and remarkable feats. You'll meet Koopas and Troopers, the princess and the others. Hanging with the plumbers, you'll be hooked on the brothers to the bridge.
In 1985, when Super Mario Bros. Was released as a pack-in for the Nintendo Entertainment System, we'd already said 1983 would have that crash in North America. This kind of revitalized it, so we see why it's so beloved. It was an incredibly high-value pack-in game. You know, sometimes they just throw in what's available, what's ready. We all love Combat or Air Sea Battle on our Atari. They're not the cutting edge of gaming. So we can see why it might have been popular and prevalent, but what made it so long-lasting and so popular and successful? I think we found there are a few possible reasons that contributed to that.
Yeah, I think the first one is probably approachability, right? So the game levels, especially, 1-1, they taught player the mechanics of the game, and in a progressive introduction, clever environmental puzzles set the high standard for platforming level design because, there really wasn't that much put into platforming games before this, but overall the pacing as well. John, you talked a little bit earlier about the different music tracks and how they would pull you along. Mo talked about how that would make you want to play longer, like he got tied in and he didn't want to even leave the house when he was coming home from college. I mean, that's some crazy shit when you live in New York and you're coming home from college and you don't want to go to the bars. You want to sit there and play Mario. That's an addictive game. And it's addictive because it's very approachable.
Yeah.
You can pick up Mario Brothers, and even me, who barely can get past World 1-3. I suck at this game, but I love it because I can sit there and pick it up and I can start playing immediately and find some level of success, even on that 1-1 level. Now, I don't know why, but I can never grab that goddamn flag at the top of the flagpole. I'm always on the bottom of the flagpole when I hit that thing. But it is such an approachable game that it made it easy for young people and old people to sit down and play. Yeah. This is a game that I would argue that young kids in 85 could sit and play with their parents even.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And parents in 85 were very unlikely to play a video game with their kids. If anything, maybe my father would have played some pinball with me at the most. And you'd have to go to an arcade. We couldn't do that at home. But I'm sure that had we bought a Nintendo Entertainment System in 85, I'm 100% convinced I could have talked my mother into sitting on the floor with me in front of the TV and playing Mario because it's so cute. It's so fun. The deaths even are cute and fun with the and the little, he pops up off the screen and falls down. Yeah. It's nothing vulgar. It's just very approachable on several different levels.
Yeah. I to that end, because you'd mentioned this when we were prepping for the show, I went digging and I found a video that kind of broke down how does level 1.1. I'm not going to rehash the whole video, but interesting things like you spend most of the game mid-screen, as things scroll up in front of you and behind you, but the game starts with you on the far, far left with a wide open field to urge you to explore to the right, to teach you you're scrolling right. As you scroll, the first thing you encounter is that flashing question mark block. It's not approaching you. It's just blinking. It's inquisitive. It has a question mark. It tells you there's something to find there. You take another step and the first Goomba comes across. Now, at this point, if you haven't read the manual, you don't know you can jump. You can't get past that Goomba without learning to jump.
Yep.
And when you do, you're rewarded.
Right.
Then when the first mushroom pops up, you're kind of boxed in, so you almost have to get the mushroom. It's hard to avoid without going around. So it's to teach you that you can power up with the mushroom. Since they just gave you a monster that looked like a mushroom that hurt you, they had to teach you this mushroom was good. And it goes on with like teaching you the next bit are pipes that get slightly taller to teach you the longer you hold down the button, the higher you jump. There was no pop-up text. It didn't say, now player, hold down the button. No.
Right.
To get through these steps, it held your hand almost like a tutorial these days without you knowing you're going through one. How approachable is that? To your point, George, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's
It
crazy.
may be the greatest tutorial without being a tutorial in gaming history.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right up there.
I mean, that set the standard, right? And top for games going forward. But just John, you brought up some of the mechanics. The fact that it was the first side scroller, they had to think about that. Like, how do you get people to move to the right? How do you tell them to move right without telling them to? But it had things like, your jumping had to be like to jump on top of a Goomba. You had to time your jump just right. The longer you held down the jump
you can
button.
adjust your velocity like mid-air. Like you can kind of, you put English on it. Like you're in the air, you hold back,
absolutely.
you can kind of, weird stuff. Yeah, it's neat.
And the other thing was that it had that variable speed acceleration. Like you didn't go 0 to 60. You kind of sped up a little bit. And I know I used to have fun just going back and forth just to watch it and then go back the other way and then speed up and go back the other way.
The sliding thing drives me nuts. Even to this day. I can't precisely decide where I'm going to land or stick. He just slides all over the place like he's on ice.
Yeah. And of course now, which is standard across every game pretty much, is like the power up system. The fact that you can make your character, give him new abilities temporarily, that he didn't have before to get past this thing. Like you can make yourself invulnerable. So you could do this. You could make yourself huge. So make it easy to get past these levels. All these things that today are just standard were groundbreaking back then.
I think the power-up thing was a variation based off of Galaga.
Oh, you mean this double ship kind of
the
deal?
Double shooter kind of thing?
Yeah, because the double shooter is definitely a power-up move in Galaga, and you can lose it just like, you can be big in Mario, and then you can hit somebody and shrink down. I don't know that they, looked at Galaga, we've got to incorporate that, but it just feels like a natural evolution from that kind of a place.
Well, there's a number of things they could have, but like in Galaga, and the other example I thought of was Pac-Man. The power pellet can make you invulnerable like a star, and but it's also momentary.
Right? Yeah.
It's also a power up of sorts, right? But to have a system whereby, I can become big and I'm big until I get hit, or I can get the fire flower and I'm this size and I have this ability. It's not timed, right? Like Galaga, you'd have to lose the ship, right? Some of them are, like the star is, right? You had to learn. Well, how long does mushroom last? How can I do it? In later games, they would let you bank those things. Like, I have a mushroom in reserve in case I need one. It became part of that system where you continue to have that stuff. And I mentioned earlier, I just got to shout out Koji Kondo's soundtrack again. For a game that I'm just so accustomed to. Even arcade games would have a cute little dingy ding melody, and that's it. And this was just a series of tracks that brought life to different worlds and different environments and clued you in as to like, oh, it's the underground was like, it was a little more ominous, it was a little scarier down there. All it was different color palette, but by adding that extra sound, it added like, oh, I'm in a different place. As you listen through, go and find it. We'll try to find a link for you where you can go and find this whole soundtrack and listen to appreciate just how many different scores and songs were created by Kondo to give this game more life than any game I had played before, certainly.
Oh, for sure.
I think the soundtrack also was instructional.
Yeah.
Right. The hurry up sound, that the pace of that hurry up sound and that alarming, first few notes of that. I was playing in preparation for this podcast. I wanted to see if I could get past 1-3 and I didn't, but in 1-2, I was playing around in that underworld thing and I'm like going around and I'm just kind of exploring. Let me hit all the blocks because there's always like little hidden shit that you don't know is there. And I know Mo's going to talk about that in a little while, but I'm going around and I was almost out of time and it was like, and I'm like, oh my God, I've got to get to the, and I got to the end and I'm like, oh crap, I got to go upstairs now. And I got to jump on the, but it was that sound is what alerted me to the fact that I'm about to die if I don't get a move on.
Yeah.
In a way that just an on-screen timer doesn't do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And George, you mentioned kind of like hidden stuff. I mean, you could run through the whole level and be done, just go left to right and jump and do all your stuff you need to. But I remember first time you're playing, like you're going right and you're like, wait a minute, up to the left, there's a ledge or something.
Yeah.
And you're like,
right.
Why was that there? Like it made no sense almost. Like, why would that be there? And maybe the first time you play, you don't care. But the second time you're playing, you're like, what's up there? And you jump up there and realize that it's a whole secret area that you didn't even see before. And there's hidden stuff everywhere in this. And people have to remember, this was pre-internet days when you couldn't just go online and look them up, right? You had to either get these guides, you had friends that said, hey, did you hit the secret level and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, what do you mean there's a secret level there?
What are you talking about?
And so it was word of mouth. And that just kept people coming back and back and back and playing this game over and over again.
Yeah, I remember, again, my girlfriend's little brother would say, like, oh, let me show you the warp level. Like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Oh, look, you jump up here on this thing, and then you end up on the top of the world, and you're up there where the score is, and you run across, and you get down, like, wait a minute, how did you find this? Oh, I just played around all day, because literally he was always in trouble for playing it all day and not doing his chores and things like that. But I think his juvenile delinquency speaks to the dramatic appeal, that addictive nature. So look, he was addicted to that for plenty of reasons. And people would say, well, yeah, was it approachable? Was it successful? Yeah. So we just outlined it for you. We had the approachability, easy to get into, easy to understand, easy to go through. You had tremendous mechanics that were intuitive and they were interesting and something you hadn't seen before and set up new systems. You had a soundtrack that pulled you through the game and informed you. And then you had that feeling of exploration and hidden secrets that made you want to come back to it again and again. And all that adds up to just like a perfect storm, lightning in a bottle. It's all those things together that deliver on a game that even today, as we're going to explain in this very next segment coming up, guys, all the ways that Super Mario Brothers and the Mario legacy it began kind of continues to permeate pop culture and media and everything else. It's tremendous. Hurry back right after this break. We'll cover that.
ABC Wednesdays, Shifting Gears is back.
He has arisen.
Tim Allen and Kat Dennings return in television's #1 new comedy.
What?
With a star-studded premiere including Jenna Elfman, Nancy Travis, and...
Hey, buddy!
A big home improvement reunion.
Welcome.
Oh, boy.
That guy's a tool.
Shifting Gears, new Wednesdays, 8/7 Central on ABC, and stream on Hulu.
Purina believes no one should have to make the impossible choice between their own safety and their pets. But nearly half of domestic abuse survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Through the Purple Leash Project, Purina is helping create more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters so survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit Purina.com/purple to learn more.
If you're a die-hard Gen X grown-up, you can pledge your support by clicking join on YouTube or by becoming a patron at GenXGrownUp.com/Patreon.
Nintendo.
It's for breakfast now.
Nintendo.
It's a cereal. Wow.
Nintendo.
Super Mario Chunks.
Nintendo.
cereal system is a super part of this nutritious breakfast. Nintendo. 2 cereals in 1. Wow!
So, Super Mario Brothers, an astounding game, still popular today. And that was the end of a franchise. Too bad, so sad. End of the podcast. Psych! Not quite. First of all, its own sequels. It was a video game piece of media, and it spawned all sorts of follow-ups and sequels. And I made a laundry list here. You guys stop me when you think of one you want to talk about, but I left out the ones that were related to the Mario world and Mushroom World and stuff. These are just literally Super Mario or Mario platformer games. After Super Mario Brothers, we had the Lost Levels. We had Super Mario Brothers 2, Super Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario Land, Super Mario World.
You're going to have to speed this up, sir. We're never going to finish this.
Yeah, exactly. We're here all hours just going through this.
Super Mario Land 2, Super Mario 64, launch title for the Nintendo 64, Super Mario Sunshine, the new Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Galaxy, Super Mario Brothers Wii, Super Mario Galaxy 2, Super Mario 3D Land, new Super Mario Brothers 2, and the second sequel of that, the one on the Wii U, Super Mario 3D World, Super Mario Maker, Odyssey, Maker 2, Super Mario Wonder, and all those others that came out. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And by the way, three consoles, Super Mario game was the pack-in for each of those consoles. NES, SNES, N64. Yeah.
It just looks to me like they had word soup up on a magnetic board with and they just kept rearranging the words to come up with the next game.
As long as you got Super Mario in there, we'll do it.
Right.
What do you got? Yeah. Super Mario basketball. Okay. Super Mario pipe fitting. Sure. Whatever you got. There you go. Okay. Some of the sequels. Then we had toys and games. And you know what? I'm not going to list them. Anything you can imagine, there's a Super Mario branded version.
Absolutely.
Pie plate, cookie jar, sheets, dog warmer, whatever you need. Whatever you need. Is that a thing? I don't know if there is. There's a Mario version.
Is there a lunchbox I can hit somebody with on the playground?
Yeah, there's several different varieties. There's the metal and the plastic, and you have a variety of designs to choose from. Yeah. You can fill the plastic with rocks and it doesn't bend. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Just fill it up with cement.
We'll skip rocks.
Cut out the middleman, says George. We talked years ago in our breakfast cereal backtrack about all the different cereals. There was a Nintendo cereal system in '88, and the box art was like half Mario, half Zelda. I was looking. Yeah, remember that stuff? The Super Mario system. It was just regular old cornflakes or like corn puff cereals. All it was, but. And they still come out with Mario cereals every once in a while, like seasonally when new games come out. I noticed. I was searching that. And who's it? George, you alluded earlier about the movies. You had said, movies and the money made from movies. Well, in '93, we did have the first Super Mario Brothers movie with Bob Hoskins, John Leguizamo, and Dennis Hopper, which I suppose made them some money just because kids were nuts about Super Mario. But then in 2023, we got the Super Mario Brothers movie, the modern one with Chris Pratt voicing Mario. And at one point, Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. I'm not sure how I feel about that still, but it kind of fits. It kind of does. Yeah, and there's a new one coming. They just announced the other day. You had that on Bit by Bit News, right, George?
Yeah, Super Mario Galaxy. Is coming out in 2026. Yeah,
next year. That's right around the corner.
And people are up in arms about the casting and the decisions of the plot already. People are losing their shit.
And they're going to make another.
It's an animated cartoon, and they're mad as hell that this character wasn't. And we skipped this, and why don't we get that? And blah blah blah. People are serious about this thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Nobody half loves Mario, right? People if they love it, they love it, and it's an enthusiastic fandom. So we talked about the movies, cartoons, and a lot of these cartoons, I made it in the laundry list. I'll skip some of these, but just to get a flavor, some of them were just in Japan, but going all the way back to the Saturday Supercade in 1983, predating Super Mario Brothers, we had Mario-themed cartoons in the Saturday Supercade because he was in Donkey Kong. But then we had the Super Mario Brothers show in 89, Captain N the Game Master in 89, Club Mario in 90, Adventures of Super Mario Brothers 3 around that sequel, Super Mario Brothers Challenge in 90, Mario Club in 90, Mario World in 90, Super Mario All-Stars in 94. There was a 64 Mario Stadium in 1996 to celebrate that. Mario School as recently as 2000. A cartoon animated series that came out. And I haven't seen even a third of these.
Yeah, me either.
Look, if kids are going to love the games, they're going to love the cartoons. They're going to watch, and it's going to bring in advertisers. So it's a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you have all those things? And it was interesting when I went through them. A lot of them were themed around the launch of particular games. Mario Brothers 3, 64, things like that. Like, let's spin up another cartoon because we have a new franchise or a new entry in the franchise to talk about, right? Oh, let's see. What's the last thing we listed to look at is the theme parks, which is a pretty relatively new thing. And I have not been to one yet. I'm not so much interested in the Mario part, but the Donkey Kong part looks awesome. But they're not called Mario. They're called Super Nintendo World is what these parks are called. There are 3 of them. They're heavily inspired by Super Mario Brothers and that Mushroom Kingdom. There's one at Universal Studios in California. There's one at Universal Japan. And most recently just opened just south of us a couple hours, Universal Epic Universe in Orlando, Florida. One of those worlds is the Super Mario or the Super Nintendo world. And have you seen footage of this thing?
No,
it's like stepping into the game.
Yeah.
Really?
So think about this. So when you're talking about things that childhood toys or games, there's only 2 that have been turned into theme park lands or their own theme park.
Oh, really?
Legoland, Super Nintendo.
Makes sense.
That's it, right? The 2 largest childhood franchises in history in their genres have been made into theme parks. Nothing else I'm not going to say Disney is a game.
No,
it is the largest theme park, but it's not a game. There's no game in that. They've tried to do games and they've sucked. But
it's a few. Okay.
Super Nintendo is obviously the dominant force in the gaming world, and their theme park. So, John, you talked about the Donkey Kong part is the most. This is obviously all for Mario and his people. You don't see a duck hunt ride at Super Nintendo World.
That's right. Where's the Gradius ride? Where's the none of those other things are in there, right? It's staggering. And it's the fact that it's continued. If it was just a flash in the pan, it'd have wrapped up in, late 80s, early 90s. Oh, there was a sequel. Maybe we'll have a resurgence in the mid 90s. It's never died down. There's always a demand for what's the next Mario, whatever. Is it a game? Is it a movie? Is it a theme park? Is it a toy? It's like Batman. Everybody and their cousin has a Batman t-shirt with the Batman emblem, or Star Wars, a Star Wars logo. Mario is a common thing to see on any average person. I don't think you can walk in a mall anywhere in America or the world maybe without running into a couple of people that have a Mario t-shirt. It's just universally beloved it's kind of overwhelming that it's so powerful. So those things. So, all right, gentlemen, we could have talked about more, as Mo said, research that he did, but I think this gives you a nice snapshot of what is so special about Super Mario Brothers. And it makes me want to go pop it in and play it again, right now. See if I can get past, mainly to see if I can get past 1-3. George. That's kind of my, that's my thought.
That's the mark.
That's it. I get there, just screenshot, I can turn it off.
Right.
Before we leave you, I want to thank a brand new Patreon that supports us over at patreon.com. Scott C. Look, he did what we talk about all the time. He headed over to GenXGrownUp.com/Patreon because he watches our YouTube content or listens to the podcast, enjoys what we do, and wants to support it and ensure we can continue to do it. Scott, thank you so much for your generosity. You're joining a roster of amazing people that continue and have supported us for years and allows us to keep bringing you shows like this about beloved franchises that we love growing up. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, everyone that does that. On that good note, it's time to wrap up this edition of the show. Don't worry, though. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another backtrack. Next week is the standard edition of our show. Until then, I'm John. George, thank you so much for being here, man.
Yes, sir.
Mo, I appreciate you, brother.
Always fun.
Fourth listener, it's you we all appreciate most of all, though, and we can't wait to talk to you again next time. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Take care, everybody.
No life, no fun. Don't you know that you're a grown-up?
Gen X Grown Up is a member of the Evergreen Podcast family. Learn more at evergreenpodcasts.com.
Watching shows till sunrise. Unacceptable for grown-ups. Your dinner cannot just be French fries. Basically, life sucks as a grown-up.
I need to find some reading glasses that don't have glare on them.
Oh, yeah?
That's what people talk about every now and then in the bit-by-bit videos. For the love of God.
Oh, yeah, I've seen people that want to see your eyes. They want to see your pretty eyes, George.
Yeah.
You're like, well, you don't know I'm sitting 2 foot from my screen. I've got to have them on. The question is, what are they going to look like?